welcome to the Victoria Rumble Room. And I mean it. Welcome. It's so great to have you on board with us for the next while as we explore issues on Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Canada, the wide world. And joining me, as always, my co-host with the most, the Croatian sensation himself, John Jurisic. And John, there's again so much going on. And John, it's Easter season. It's a time of reflection. It's a time of family. It's a time to gather. And if you're a spiritual person, it's important. If you're a person that believes in family, it's important. And it's so hard to watch what's happening in Ukraine right now and the way families are being devastated. A country is being devastated.
You're so right, Robin. I mean, here we are on the eve of Easter. Whether you're a person of faith or not, you have to feel great empathy for Ukrainians being slaughtered, being tortured, being shot at. It's hard to watch. Okay, so here we are watching on CNN or whatever. It's hard to watch. Imagine being in it. Oh, I can't even do that. I can't fathom such evil taking place in the world. Okay, every day on television, social media, we see this continuing to happen in the Ukraine on all these channels. And, you know, we don't see as much because it's hard to broadcast dead bodies and carnage of civilians being bombed, shot, and assaulted.
I think the 24-hour news hour cycle has no trouble showing some of those images. It's so depressing to see it continuously over and over without resolution. It's just
a nightmare.
Savagery on the internet.
I actually think about this when I'm not watching it. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. We'll dig deeper into Canada's Ukrainian effort, the refugee effort next week. But we do want to leave you with these images.
That's right, John. The Canadian-Ukrainian community and Friends of the Ukraine continue to send money and supplies to that country, and of course are open-armed about refugees. They held a rally recently out of the legislature. We stand with the Ukraine, and believe me, we really commend these people. We commend everyone who's willing to put out for Ukraine, put out for others, not just Ukraine, but for others in general. But this is the time of the year to really reach out and help people. And you got to stay positive if you can and keep the Easter spirit in your heart. But now we shift topics back to another very serious problem we're having right here in British Columbia. It's right across Canada, really, but BC's where we live. It's where we're focused, and that is the growing chronic doctor shortage. And the province has blinked somewhat. $3.4 million is now directed towards 5 walk-in clinics on the South Island to keep them open. At the same time, I believe it's up to 4 clinics are closing their doors. We just had another one in Fairfield announce that it's closing its doors. It's a big problem. And Camille Carrie with BC Healthcare Matters says a lot more needs to be done. So does she think that this money that's coming forward from the province now at least is coming in the right direction?
I do, and I think this is a step in the right direction for sure, and I'm really glad that the government has come forward and has published this, given us some numbers, explanations where the money will go, but we'd still like to hear more. We'd like to know where all those dollars are going to be invested in team-based cares that they speak about. I do still have concerns. I have concerns about whether the money is going to come in soon enough to really make a true impact and effect. Also, is that enough money to even create the kind of impact that we need for this crisis right now? This is also an initiative that is very focused on the South Island, and I have concerns about that because this is a provincial-wide problem. So we want to continue to hear and see more action from the government on addressing this provincially.
Man, you know, out of nowhere, this young woman has come to really represent this issue for all of us in BC. I'm so impressed. I'm so inspired by her leadership and her articulate way of expressing these issues. They're the BC Healthcare Matters group, and it's not just Camille. They're working so very hard for us on this issue. And guess what? Now you can help and get involved. Now, you, as our listeners, can help support this issue. Join them on the steps of the legislature in a few weeks' time.
That's right, John. We really support what Healthcare Matters is doing. We urge you to do the same. You can sign their petition. You can get involved. Thursday, the May 19th, there's going to be the rally at the legislature. It's on the lawns there to support Family Physician Day. You'll hear about BC Healthcare Matters. You'll hear directly from family doctors and medical professionals about what they're dealing with and what we might be able to do to finally fix this mess. So the work continues to get everyone in this province a doctor. It's a tall order, but we've got to keep working at it. Again, a big thumbs up to Camille, Carrie, and her team. And you know, they're all volunteers. They're all doing this for us. And I really appreciate it, for one. So we urge you to get involved in any way, shape, or form. And speaking of systems that aren't really working very effectively right now, John, our cruise ship industry has certainly had a tough time over the last 2 years. That's not really the system. That was COVID-19. And I think we did the best we could do to support those businesses through tough times and at least keep them in business, even though they've been on life support for the most part. But now the cruise ships have finally returned. We have had Holland America arrive in Victoria, the first cruise ship to actually dock at a Canadian port in 2 years. It's been a very long while. We went out to take a look, and boy, was that wind ever blowing.
They do need the help.
Where are you folks from?
Toronto.
Oh, you're from Toronto.
Yeah.
That's why you're cheering for the Leafs.
Oh, sure. Well, aren't you?
Well, sometimes. Sometimes. There's this little team called the Canucks we cheer for around here. And have you been to Victoria before?
I've never been to Canada, actually.
And you're from Bellingham.
Yeah. We moved there just in the last year.
Trips.
Yeah, this is your first cruise
First cruise, yeah, since the trip. Yeah.
since the pandemic. So you've been sort of like a lot of Canadians just dying to get out.
Yeah. And we had family to visit in the States, so we thought instead of flying, which I hate.
That's the way to do a holiday.
Yeah.
Welkom to Holland America Line. Hele fijne dag vandaag.
It's just so great. The cruise season is back. This activity brings so much revenue, so much economic development. It provides so many opportunities for families. There's huge relief about this in the tourism and hospitality sector. You know, it's great. However, Robin, this isn't all a bed of roses.
As we mentioned, there's a problem in the system.
Right. The cities moved the bus drop off from the cruise ships and they no longer stop in the inner harbor. Are you kidding? Like, really? This is the jewel of the jewel of the jewels, is the inner harbor. This has meant that cruise visitors are missing out on shops and restaurants and activities on Lower Government and the Empress Hotel. I mean, this is the heartbeat of the lower. A lot of businesses are wondering about their futures, right? Will they stay in business?
And a lot of my tenants, the taxes are being so high, rents, we have given everybody a discount, but we live off tourism for 6 months. And taking the buses away from Inner Harbor is going to affect everybody, and it's already affecting everybody. The first cruise ship which came, there were a trickle of people walking, but there was no crowds. If some went to Chinatown, some went to Wall Street, some went to the Bay Center. So the 700 block people, we didn't get many people over here at all, period. I have got 3 empty buildings right now. The fourth and the fifth one have got the leases coming up, and none of them are interested in releasing them because they don't know what the situation is going to be like. And next of all, like, why take away something which has been working for years for the tourism industry? You know, why, especially after 30 months of no cruise ship, they have taken away the buses. which, it's just doesn't make sense. And why isn't the city councilors as well as the mayor not listening to us? Why is it just no, no, no?
Did she sit and talk with you? Have you talked to Lisa Helps?
No, not at all, because, Stephen Andrew has that. The rest of the people from Government Street have tried to contact her, but the answer is still they want to do what they want to do. And look at the planters, look at the street. It does not look welcoming.
Now, it was in the paper on the weekend, some people that have places down here were apparently at the meeting the Americans and visitors at the cruise ship, and some were in tears. They were so happy to see them.
Definitely, we are all happy to have them back. Trust me, we are all happy. But the situation is, if we lose, the customers going all different direction, we're going to have a trouble. I can see that we are not going to have as good a summer as we expected, because the inner harbor is what brings in the people, the Empress Hotel, the museum, and they're not here. Like, we were going to check on, I think the next cruise ship is on Saturday. We're going to see the difference. But to drop them off so far and make them walk back and forth, I think it's just not working. And, we didn't get any people in the Empress, not even one, because we ask every customer, where are you from? Are you on the cruise ship? We didn't even get one customer off the cruise ship. We've tried and tried. We've been trying this since January, when we found out that the buses were being taken away from Lower Government Street. And we were not even informed. We found out through the newspaper that they have decided to do that. Nobody contacted us, not even one person. Hey, what do you guys think about this, moving the buses? No one did.
Robin, we actually posted a short clip of this interview with Rick Arora earlier in the week. Boy, did that get a lot of reaction on both sides. There are people who are supporting this issue and supporting what Rick is saying, and there are folks, frankly, that are in favor of the decision that City Hall made. Why don't we get a bit of flavor of both those sides? For example, I think the mayor and council don't care about tourists or small business, right? So here's a comment supporting Rick's position. They might as well drop the tourists off at the A&W in Esquimalt. Merchants need to picket City Hall and make their views known.
Well, on the flip side, another viewer writes, for decades, downtown businesses of North Government Street haven't had the benefit of tourists dropped off at their doorsteps, and they've survived. In my opinion, the midpoint drop-off is more equitable.
Right. And so finally, another viewpoint on the other side, this cruise ship was the first. We were not their destination. Are we going to judge the merits of a decision based on that? I think it's pretty ridiculous to gather the torches and pitchforks already, right? And so, I think that the theme here is that there are people talking about this issue, and City Hall needs to listen. They need to listen. And talking about listening, and talking about optics, and talking about a pretty big event earlier this week, the Prime Minister of Canada arrived in Victoria and arrived to talk to the Mayor of City Victoria, that being Lisa Helps. And the topic of conversation was electric vehicles, and he made a funding announcement to make electric vehicles easier to use for the public. So he goes to City Hall, and I was perplexed, Robin. I was perplexed because earlier this month, the city of Langford in West Shore has announced a first of its kind Tesla Center coming to the City Gate Boulevard. A 35,000 square foot facility will begin construction last week and is expected to bring 50 full-time jobs once it's complete in 2023. Now, get why it's being made. Tesla drivers on the island will no longer have to go to the ferry to have their vehicles serviced in Vancouver or Victoria. So here the Prime Minister comes, makes a funding announcement about how it's easier for us to use electronic vehicles, and he doesn't go to Langford to publicize this construction of a new Tesla facility that's going to make it easier to own electric vehicles.
So why, John? Why has he gone to Victoria City Hall to talk to Lisa Helps?
Robin, I think it's pretty obvious. Clearly, this was political support for Lisa Helps in her future political aspirations. I think he came to bring her some support and visibility for a potential run as a federal Liberal candidate in downtown Victoria. Lisa Helps, are you listening? Can you confirm?
Well, if she's listening to that, then at least we know she's listening to some of the things that are being said, and that's promising. And well, we'll stay tuned. We know where we heard it first, John. If Lisa Helps announces she's running for Victoria for the federal Liberals, we know who will have said it first. So congratulations on that.
Victoria Rumble Room, yay!
Yeah. Let's move on to another hot topic now, real estate. And the inventory has shrunken, but the prices remain sky high. And the federal government is promising millions of dollars in new housing funding. And they're also talking about a 2-year ban of foreigners purchasing homes and property in Canada. So the BC government then followed suit, talking about a cooling off period for new home buyers for protection so they don't get railroaded into expensive deals, because let's face it, all the deals now are very expensive. So what do we make of this? We spoke to Michael Forbes. He's an old friend. He and his wife, Lisa, were the famous broadcasting team on the ocean, Forbes and Marshall for years. And now they are an exciting team when it comes to real estate. And it's great to be able to talk to Michael Forbes. Let's zoom him in. Now, joining us in Victoria Rumble Room for the very first time, all the way from eXp Realty, Forbes and Marshall Realty, it's Michael Forbes. And so great to have you on the show, Michael. It's been a long time since we talked together. We worked very briefly in the late 90s at the Ocean, where, of course, Forbes and Marshall were major players in radio in Victoria, but you've moved from major players in radio to major players in real estate, and that's what we're here to talk about today. So great to have you here.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Robin and John. Yes, I remember those days quite fondly. You had your studio just down the hall from us, and always in there scrapping it out with politicians and Howie Siegel and celebrities walking around. So it was an exciting time.
Yeah, we had AM 900, and then they decided, Rogers decided to sell AM 900 and did a trade with Camosun College. Yeah. So Camosun College has AM 900, although I don't even know if they operate it anymore. And the Jack FM, which was formerly the signal from Camosun College, they rammed 1 million volts through it, and that became Jack FM. So that's all radio lore. And here we are. I'm doing a video podcast on Facebook, and you're a real estate guy, but we still love to broadcast a little bit, Michael. So that's great. Now, looking at your website, you do a lot of business on the West Shore, which has, of course, been exploding, absolutely exploding in terms of the population and people arriving, but not exploding in terms of inventory. And now the interest rates are starting to creep up. So what's the situation right now in real estate?
Low inventory. And we've suffered from this problem. We're kind of like a little microcosm of what's going on in the world. But sometimes, Greater Victoria and Southern Vancouver Island, we see trends and things that are kind of ahead, and we're kind of in our own little bubble here. But the whole planet right now, as far as real estate, still suffers from low inventory. The stories that we can share with, an agent in Los Angeles or somebody in Toronto. So it's a worldwide global thing. The local market in Victoria has its own unique pressures and things that affect the market. But we have less than a month's supply of inventory in Victoria right now, which really means if no one from this day forward put their house up for sale, we run out of houses for sale in probably less than a month. So obviously that creates, issues for
Pressures.
especially buyers.
Yeah.
Sellers are in their driver's seat. They're getting record numbers for their homes, but if they need to buy, then they now become,
Stuck.
a part of the issue, which
Yeah.
is like you've got a great property that comes up, and a lot of people are interested.
So great to have you here, Michael. Thanks for that quick summary. Also great to see you. For many of us, we've never seen you. We've heard you. So it's great to have you on the Rumble Room vodcast. I certainly listened to Forbes and Marshall back in the day. It's empowering, very fascinating to see folks adjust and change to different sectors. That's quite a switch. I was a realtor in recently, and so now here I am broadcasting with Robin on this show and doing digital marketing. But back to the housing market and back to your summary, you mentioned inventory, low interest rates. Can you dig a little deeper into interest rates? Like when actually is that going to make an impact? And can interest rates go very much higher? Because so much of the country is in debt. And, they can't raise these rates as they might want to, they being the federal government.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not an expert in interest rates, and we're sort of just going with the flow, just like everybody else. But initially, as I mentioned earlier, this quarter percentage didn't do much to dampen things. I think what they're doing is they're trying to get back to pre-pandemic levels as far as interest rates to see if that happens. Now, these announcements were made before we're coming out of COVID, hopefully. But this is before, a war in Europe and other factors that might influence things. But I can't see interest rates being the sole, solution to a low inventory problem and the amount of competition in the market right now. If anything, it's going to hurt more first-time home buyers more than anyone. The people that have the means to maybe absorb the cost are the ones that really will benefit at the end of the day.
So we have interest rates. We also have inventory. We have a provincial government that have been making noises about getting more involved in terms of pushing more inventory forward by actually taking some of the responsibility away from civic leadership to approve building projects, to approve housing projects, get this stuff going a lot faster so that there's more on the market. Do you think that's going to work? What do people in the real estate business think of all that?
Well, as you may know, with you're dealing with governments and politicians, it's really the flavor of the day. And to their credit, they're trying to do what they can, I suppose, to help the consumer and and sort of save or perhaps help in this low inventory market. But things like low inventory and regulating, going into municipalities, the jury's still out whether it's, things like that might work. I suppose if you take it out of their hands, then at least, people can blame the provincial government as opposed to the local government in some cases. There's some councils that are, obviously out in Langford. It's, let's just build until there's no land left, sort of idea. And then there's other places like Oak Bay where people feel that they drag their feet in approvals. So perhaps governments stepping in might alleviate some of that, but you're still going to get people that are upset that there's a apartment building going up in their backyard.
Michael, the West Shore is growing like crazy. I would suggest that it's becoming the Surrey of Vancouver Island. Forbes and Marshall Real Estate, I understand you specialize in the West Shore. And not that you wouldn't take a few nice listings in Oak Bay, but nonetheless, West Shore is where it's at. Let's talk a little bit, therefore, about the infrastructure that supports that growth. In your opinion, is that keeping pace with the building?
The infrastructure is an issue. And, the more and more, like it's the traffic jams and And I know that if you go online, you can see people start complaining about how, in their view, it's not keeping up. It's going at a furious pace, especially when you have a large concentration of people all in one area. So again, I'm sure that Langford and their council are doing their best to address that, but essentially you've got a downtown core of Langford that was really a nothing place, and now they've revitalized it, but now you've added thousands of new people to that area. There's even places like the outskirts of Thetis Lake, where you've got now these new apartments coming up right on the border of this beautiful lake and the walking trails. And just in the past 10 years, just because of the increase in density and population with all of these new apartments going up in that area, have you seen the Thetis Lake parking lot? It's jammed full on a Monday morning, and everyone and their dog is out, using the facility. So, I mean, it's just examples like that where it's not only infrastructure, but it's like public spaces and things like that are being affected.
So we'll move back into real estate directly, because we were throwing a lot of poli-sci questions at you right now, Michael, and you're doing well with them, I have to say. But real estate, people are very concerned that the real estate prices have gotten so high that a lot of people, double income people with reasonable paying jobs, can barely afford or not afford to get themselves into a family home. Are things in your mind going to ever start to level off, where at least we can see an end to this rapid increase? Or is this something we're going to live with for a long time, in your opinion? And should people, maybe that are those double income people, have lower expectations, maybe be prepared to live in a townhouse, prepared to live in a condominium? The days of everyone having a single family home may be past us.
Yeah. Well, the first thing is that we help people find homes every day. And we sell homes, every day in the real estate industry. So there's all this doom and gloom, but real estate is happening, and people are finding homes, and they may have to have some patience, and they may have to pay a little bit more than perhaps they want to, or in some cases a lot more. Ultimately, it's up to the consumer, what they're comfortable with. We're helping people find and buy homes every day. So the market hasn't stopped. People are still being able to purchase properties. There's still inventory out there, but it is historically low. And there is a possibility that this will continue for a very, very long time. I mean, when you consider we probably need 2,000 or 3,000 more listings to get back to a balanced market, I don't see that happening anytime soon. And there's many issues. Low inventory. Well, we could build more, but it's also what kind of properties we build. When we add inventory, is it all just condos? Can we do single family detached? So that's an issue. Also, a lot of people don't talk about the demographics of real estate too. Here's a statistic for you. Over half of all homeowners in BC are over the age of 55. And I'm kind of in that demographic, even though I look much younger on camera. And in my own personal experience, I've got in-laws, elderly people that live with us, Lisa's parents, and I've got 2 young men who are looking at this market, trying to get out there. And we don't plan on moving anytime soon, because our house houses three sets of people, basically. During the pandemic, a lot of people in that demographic may have decided that they're not going to move, or they're working from home, and they decided to renovate, just like our neighbor next door, instead of going and jumping into the market. So if you've got half of the homes in BC sold to people, or they're living in it and they're over the age of 55, and some of these people have the means to have 1 and 2 other vacation property or an investment property, and they're 55 and they're not going anywhere, They're not ready for the retirement home. You can still mow your lawn. You can still do the maintenance. But the challenge is you've got over half of the inventory in the province with a lot of people that are not ready to go anywhere.
You know, Robin, a lot of viewers, a lot of folks who know me wonder what I do for a living. You know, right? I mean, even I ask that myself. I label myself, generally speaking, as a serial entrepreneur. I've been involved in a lot of activities and careers over my lifetime. I was a real estate agent for a while, for a couple of years. I've probably had 20 jobs. I've probably done 100 projects. And I have to say, as a real estate agent, was a time when I got the most negative comments about my career. I couldn't believe it. I've done all this other stuff. All of a sudden, I have this real estate agent hat on, and I'm being ostracized for nothing, you know, for just being a real estate agent. And as it turns out, we had some comments on Michael Forbes' interview that reflected that reality. Let's look at some of the viewer mail we've received. In regards to the 2-year ban on foreign buyers, this person writes, silly political posturing by a clueless prime minister.
Here's another lively note. No way. The average house in our area should be $1 million. It's all due to migration here and immigration. The rich are causing this. It's a chicken joke.
You know, Robin, I can't believe that comment is there. I can't believe people write this stuff. How about this one? Always a good idea to let any group police themselves. Not.
And finally, I thought this was actually quite a reasonable response to Michael. It wasn't in favor of what he was saying, but it gave some context. And here it is. I am retired after 26 years as a real estate professional. I think this legislation is long overdue. I couldn't agree more with it, as there's no protection for the buyer. And yes, I would agree with temporarily halting out-of-country buyers too. Period. There, I've said my piece.
All right. Well, you know, we have tons of fun with the comments, and boy, they do come. Thanks to everyone for writing their thoughts. When we have time, we like to include them in abridged form. They were great. The comments, the viewership, the sharing, all hugely appreciated.
And we don't want to come across like we're mocking comments. We really appreciate all of them. And some of them are colorful, and that's fine. As long as the colorful, again, is not dirty or is, you know, totally out of line.
Racist or illegal.
Yeah, there's lines that can be crossed, but we really welcome getting feedback from our viewers. We appreciate what you have to say, and we may not always agree with you, but we certainly appreciate having these discussions. John, it's near the end of our Rumble Room. Again, you could tell our many treasured viewers how they can support the show on various platforms and be part of the family.
Absolutely, Robin. Can't emphasize enough how much we appreciate everyone's input. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok. Lots of ways to watch what we talk about and hear from our interviews. Please now consider a new group that we've set up to allow our listeners and to allow people watching to post their viewpoints, to post their events, to post their organization's issues. And that group is called Victoria Rumble Room News and Views. It's on Facebook. You're encouraged to comment and put all of your own stuff on there. Anyway, for now, I wish you a happy Easter weekend. I wish Ukrainians a happy Easter weekend. Absolutely, Robin. It's an important time to spend time with family and friends after COVID, after war, you know, really time to appreciate all of the people close to us. I remain the mayor of North Tulip, the Croatian sensation, Johnny Jurisic.
And Johnny, I also share your sentiments about Easter, the importance of family and friends right now. And we wish everyone a great Easter. And we're keeping in our hearts what's going on with the Ukrainian situation. And over my shoulder, of course, we have a notice about the BC Healthcare Matters. We're going to keep pushing to help get everyone in this province the family doctor that they deserve. If you believe in universal health care in this country and you want to maintain it, part of that is us all having a doctor. So let's all work collectively, if you like that term, to try to get that going, because right now we have a terrible, terrible mess. And here in the Rumble Room, we'll keep working at that. But for now, I say I'm Robin Adair, and rumble on.